We can't hear you.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order at whatever it is, 7:02. We got our technical difficulties squared away. And then we'll,
Thank
we're all here, so we don't, well, actually, Nicole is not here, so no, she's coming in right now. So we'll not appoint the alternate. I'll give her a second to run down the room here.
All right,
And then we'll start.
You got feedback from.
All right, now we're all here, so we'll start. And the first up on the agenda for the budget workshop is American Heritage River Commission.
It's under tab 1.
Go ahead, you can go.
all right. Well, we, in the past couple of years have had a $4,200 budget. And what we have spent that money on is, $900 goes to secretary minutes. We rent a portable rest facility that we use at our New Year's Day hike, and that's a cost of $180. We pay for reagents to do water testing at between 8 and 10 sites in town, and that this year was $2,600. And we pay for 2 subscriptions, one to the Connecticut Rivers Alliance and the other to Connecticut Rivers Conservancy, so that we know what's going on in the Connecticut River and the tributaries as far as other water testing. And we also paid for a bench, well, part of a bench. We had applied for benches for the state park with a grant. The grant was asked for 3,600. We got 32, and we needed the other 300 to pay for the rest of the other bench. So we are spending, as of June, our entire $4,200. This coming year, 24-25, it is anticipated that the reagents are going to be higher in cost. We have benefited the last couple of years with the fact that we've been able to get the reagents at a reduced price because of COVID and other things that went on. The testing that was done at the University of St. Joseph was limited. And once those reagents were purchased, the shelf life is so limited that we were passed along to get the reagents. But COVID is passed, haha, and so we're now paying full price for the reagents. And the reason why we are doing that is the area of the Scannick River that we are testing has some of the highest E. coli levels of the 38 miles of Scannick River. And we're really trying to find out the source of that bacteria. And so we think that it's very important that we continue the testing. We've asked also for some water testing equipment. The gal who does it, Dr. Kirsten Martin from University of St. Joseph, has had some health issues, and she is going to get some students to help do some of the testing this summer, so she doesn't have the burden of all of it herself. Therefore, everyone's going to need their own probe, etc. So with that, our numbers came in at $4,280, trying to keep within the quote 2% increase. We hope that you will accept those numbers and grant us our budget.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, all righty. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Next up is the Veterans Commission.
Activities and fees is the second page back out of it. Thank you. And that's where a lot of them are coming from. Veterans has 2 spots actually. They have their flags, Memorial Day, for 6 down. For $1,200, and then under the commission, they have their recording secretary.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rick Webster, representing the East Country Veterans Commission this evening. So we're basically looking for $1,200 to cover the costs of the cemeteries here in town. That we place flags on Memorial Day, on our veterans or deceased. And also we're looking for $1,500 for a recording secretary to cover our meetings and also timely news releases.
Pretty straightforward. It's not a change from prior years. So.
Do we reuse the flag though? No.
I'm sorry?
The flags, the families take them?
No, the flags are placed on the graves, and then the day after Veterans Day, the Veterans Commission removes them. So they're left up
Yeah, that's what, so they,
Memorial Day until Veterans Day left on the graves.
yeah, so they reuse.
No, because the flags are left out to the elements and weather,
Okay,
they're not basically reusable. So,
yeah.
Anything else? Any other questions? But easy.
thank you for your time, I appreciate it, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Here. Deb Williams.
Want me to get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put the hot seat.
Yeah, I got the hot seat. Hey, Deb, you're next. Hey, look.
Right there.
Just listening.
Not sure I have enough.
Pictures
for
in
everybody.
the very front under, near the beginning of the general government stuff, on page one. Okay. The fourth thing down. And the little tiny ones, right above Board of Finance. At the end.
These are pictures of some of the projects I'm gonna be referring to. Yeah, there we go. Another one, does everyone have one now?
I would give one to Sabo, yeah, thanks. And they end up in the minutes.
Yeah, one, one?
Thanks.
Okay. Hi, I'm Debbie Williams, Chair of the Arts and Culture Committee. And we are asking for $4,100 this year, which is just a $100 increase from last year's budget. And also the fee for our recording secretary. The majority of our budget last year and also this year is spent on our arts and culture event. It's a one-day event for the community. It's free. We provide food. This year we're having food trucks. We have entertainment, 3 local musical acts. We will have art activities. We will have art demonstrations. We will have artist vendors and also 2 community projects. One is we, through the Greater Together Community Fund, we received a grant to build a wheelchair accessible picnic table that we are donating to the park. And at Arts and Culture Day, we're going to have the participants be able to decorate it with a local artist. Another community project that we're doing is we collected bottle caps and we're going to make a mosaic mural out of the 14,000 plus bottle caps that we collected. We have a couple of activities going on with the schools. At the Broadbrook School, we have our Rock River project, which every 4th grader starting last year got a smooth river rock that they were able to decorate and customize. And this will be placed out in front of the school. And then every year, each 4th grade class will add to the Rock River. And so it'll, be this colorful Rock River out in front of the school. That's that picture. So the first 3 pictures are pictures from Arts and Culture Day last year. The next 2 are the river rocks. And then on the next page, on the top are the graduation boards that we did at the high school. We started this project last year, where every graduating senior gets a blank board that they could customize, and then they're bound together and displayed at the graduation event. And then after the ceremony, they can take their board back home with them. So we'll be doing that again this year. Every year, or for multiple organizations, we've done selfie boards. Which if there's an organization having a large townwide event, like the Broadbrook Fire Department does the Torchlight Parade and Parks and Recreation does the summer concert series, we make a selfie board for them. So this year we added to it, we did it on the Veterans Commission. We did one for the Veterans Day road race. The next picture is the soccer club mural that we're gonna be painting at Osborne Field. This was designed by high school students last year, but we didn't have time to do it. And so this year, a couple of our high school students are gonna be painting that, hopefully this month, when the weather gets nicer and drier. We'll be painting that. Hopefully.
Optimistic.
The next pictures are pictures of the picnic table. We're actually building two of them, so one is gonna go at the park. One is gonna go at the Warehouse Point Library. We're gonna have a local artist paint that. We also will be building two Adirondack chairs, and those will go to the high school. And two high school students will be painting that. Every year, we have a contest. The first year, we had a logo contest. Last year, we had a photography contest. And this year, we're doing a birdhouse decorating contest. We've handed out 40 birdhouses to community members, and we're having them decorate them in 5 different categories. And they'll all be on display at Arts and Culture Day, and the participants on that day will be able to vote for the favorite one in each category, and then the winner in that category will get a prize. Some other upcoming projects that we have is we're going to be doing a mural for the Warehouse Point Library and the back of the wall of their children's section. And hopefully we'll be able to do that to coincide with their welcoming entry dedication. And we are also working with the American Legion to paint a mural on the side of their building. So we're currently in works with an artist on that. These pictures right here are a decommissioned bus shelter that we recently acquired through public surplus. And we're working with an artist to create a art installation / seating area that will hopefully wind up at East Windsor Park, maybe near the new playground. So we have that coming up this year. And then here's another project we did. We did car cards with the Trolley Museum. And we had local students pair up with an East Windsor business and paint a car card for them. And then we had them printed, and they are in the working trolleys over at the museum. And then one picture that I missed was the carved owl that we did with the American Heritage River Commission. That is now sitting up in a tree near the trailhead to the Scantic River State Park. So those are just some of the projects that we've worked on in the past year. We've paired up with over a dozen local entities, businesses, and organizations, and we've supported dozens of local artists over the past couple of years. And we've also engaged hundreds of community members with all of our projects and contests and installations. So, so we hope you continue to fund us so that we can keep doing all of these awesome projects.
Very busy.
Very busy, all the time. Oh, we also have an open mic contest coming up at the end of this month, so if any of you are singers, poetry writers. Oh, your nephew is Dylan. Yeah. Yes, please encourage it. Everyone's shy and everybody's signing up for it. We'll get it. All right.
But no, I honestly, that for $5,000, I mean, you do so much, and it's really impressive. How much you do, and certainly the engagement is fantastic.
Yeah, that's part of our mission, is to collaborate with as many entities as we can. So that helps too, because we often split the cost with the organization that we're working with.
Yeah, it's great to see how far you all have come, and just, I mean, you haven't been around that long.
2.5 years.
And great grants.
Yeah, yes, yep.
Well, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
The River Rocks, did those come from a local business?
So the first year, somebody that's on the committee was redoing their backyard, and they donated the landscaping from around their pool. But this year they were donated by Harkins Market. And they gave us enough for this year and next
That's
year.
great.
It's awesome.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You want to send the fire department in? Sure, thanks.
Yeah, tell them it's urgent.
Have a good night.
They're not, they're in the back of your book separately maybe, or where was yours? It was loose, okay,
Good luck.
maybe in the front flap. Mine's.
Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Oh. That's why I.
Oh, hello.
I'm sure I haven't got rid of the rule yet. This is.
Did you guys get the new ice?
I don't think so. I think the one they got was the one, yeah, submitted January 30th. So they did not get a clean one of the new one. But, this one, well, this one's not significantly different, right?
It's just $10,000 difference.
Right. So $10,000 going down. So, this is what it looked like. It was loose in your book, either in the front flap or it was in your book when you got it, but it's the 30th. They're not. No. They have to all be in that file.
To 1,000,
$1,000.
it's easy enough to fix.
Which line?
The 27th payroll is down to $1,000.
That was the only change we, that was a mistake we had made. We figured it out.
Forgiven.
Now be honest, it was Amy.
I don't throw anybody under the bus.
I had to fix it on the town side too.
So I. Perfect, I'll take the blame, doesn't matter. That's fine. It's a joint effort, that's right. Okay, I'll go through the whole budget with you guys. I have this, you guys have this one?
Maybe.
Yes, you do. Okay. There you go.
There it is.
Okay. The professional service line, as you can see, stayed status quo. CIP stayed the same. The insurance went up 5%. Cause we got the new truck coming, so the insurance is gonna go up. It actually went up $4,300 in this year. So. Typical insurance. The next line down, phone and cable, that stayed the same. Supplies and equipment. The next page all stay the same. Even though stuff is going, I'm gonna give you some examples here, like bunker gear. We have $40,000 for bunker gear. To outfit a man now, it's $5,000 for the pants and the coat. $700 for the boots. It's $1,000 for the helmet. It's $75 for the hood, and $75 for the glove. But just, you know how much that stuff actually costs. Testing, ladder testing, hose testing. Ladder testing is so much a foot, it's about $3,000. Ladder testing is $500. Air compressor testing, they have to test the air in our air pack bottles every 4 months. Air packs, radios. Uniforms. Truck maintenance stayed the same because new truck's gonna be under warranty, so we figured there wouldn't be any change there. 40,000 last year. Supplies and the supply line didn't go up. Truck fuel up $1,000 because the price of fuel just keeps going up. And now we have to start putting which we don't know much about this. We have to use DEP in this new truck, and Bill, you probably got some. I don't know how much. I don't know. We don't know how that's going to work out.
Yeah,
So
it's, I mean, I'm surprised, I mean. When we're running ours hard, we go like weeks almost before we put some in.
Really?
Not
too bad?
Yeah, I mean, the way you guys run them, I mean. You probably won't receive much of a,
Okay.
it's an expense, but it's not gonna be huge, I mean.
yeah,
According to Jim Barton, though, I think he said because you don't run them, you go through it more.
more, 'cause you're not getting hot enough.
Yeah.
That could be too, I mean, ours,
I think that's
you
what
know,
he said during the Board of Selectmen's portion.
it's possible, because like I said, the one that we use it in is runs like 10, 12 hours a day in the springtime, and it never shuts off, and I'm amazed how, a week later, it's still got half a tank of it.
Wow.
So, I mean, but again, I don't, I just speak from my experience, but.
Yeah, we never had to deal with it before, so we brought the budget a little bit for.
Can I ask you a question? What's the, and pardon my ignorance here, but what is for uniforms versus bunker gear?
Uniforms are like what I'm wearing.
Just like the, okay.
And also the day staff uniforms.
Okay.
Part-time staff,
That makes
their
sense, okay.
their t-shirts and their
Okay.
job shirts.
Makes sense. Thank you.
The TN dues went down $1,000. That's It actually had gone up. It had gone up 10,000, but they reconfigured everything so it came down.
That's why the town side went up.
Now they went up because they're doing it, the TN now is doing it. 2/3 population, 1/3 call. Or excuse me, two-thirds call, 1/3 population. It was all population, then it went to 2/3 population, 1/3 calls. Now it's 2/3 calls, 1/3 population. And next year's gonna be all calls, 100% calls. So we're only gonna pay for the calls that we actually go on. Same Blue Wells Point, same thing we use with neighborhoods.
So that same call, if you go on a call and it's a second alarm, so where else plane goes and you go,
Only one department, whoever's call it is gets billed, that's it.
oh, that's it, okay, that's.
And if we go
I
out,
don't think you don't know you get
no,
billed
no.
twice.
And if we go out of town mutual aid, doesn't,
Doesn't, okay.
it's only for, and if we're our mutual aid to the ambulance, there's no charge,
But they did say it's gonna go up again.
right?
It went from like 20,000 each last year to 67 across the town this year. With 26 and change being the ambulance and about 20 in either of your guys, right?
I'm 26, I'm
Okay,
26.
so Warehouse Point must be 20. So, and then next year it's gonna be 100,000 across the town. So everybody's gonna see an increase next year.
We don't have agreements for that, right?
We do not, we have no agreement with TN at all, and apparently never have.
Okay.
So we've been
What's
using their
not?
service. Well,
Well, there
they
was,
sent us one.
there was one years ago, years and years ago, there was an agreement, we just never got back.
They sent one probably about 5 years ago. But it was never agreed to by anybody. And that's the only one that we know of, and it never got signed by anybody. So I'm sure there's somebody working on it, especially because of the way the price is changing. You know, to go from 40,000 to 70,000 to 100,000 over 3 years. Big numbers.
I'm gonna back up one line here, so dues and fees, went above the T and dispatch fees went up, that went up 18,500. That went up due to the fact that, we never had any. um, Computer software protection. We had a scare 3-4 months ago of a virus that the town, actually Joe was one that found it, he let us know about it. And none of our stuff is backed up, other than fire reports. And that's it, that's what fire goes through the fireworks, fire reports through. So in order to do it, it's gonna cost us, it's 18,500 for department emails and the virus. And the other thing with the emails is, there's 6,000 for the emails. Up till last year, we could have one email and everybody in the whole department could use it. Off of one thing. Now you can't do that anymore. Plus with all the FOI stuff going on and, like if I were to email one of my firefighters something in a call to his personal email, now his personal email is it's all of his stuff. So we thought it's to the department's best interest and all the members that each has their own email address. Just to keep them
That
safe.
makes sense. Yeah.
Like I said, we didn't have virus protection, but now, it's $100 computer per month. Yeah, kind of highway robbery, but yeah. Yeah. Probably not gonna get any cheaper as time goes on. Then
Okay, just a quick question. So
Sure.
the Talon County, it looks like that went down. Is that different for? I don't know, that's different for, we saw increases in our discounts, right? For
Right,
other
so
departments?
what happened was, it used to be that they were paying for ambulance. Ambulance, we were only paying for the cement, and it was like $4,500. Last year, or current year. Next year, we split it so that the ambulance calls went to the ambulance instead. That's why we went from 4,500 to 26,000 in the town budget to cover the ambulance part, and they both went down.
yes,
Gotcha.
two
Okay.
fire departments picked up all the ambulance costs,
Okay.
which really was a worry to the 2 fire departments. And the ambulance was getting off with nothing.
We were paying $4,500 related to cement,
Yeah, our
EMD stuff.
yeah, so it's the fairest way to do it is like each entity pays their own.
Yeah, I thought there was some changing like per call versus.
They are.
Right,
It
okay,
went from per capita, which was only $40,000 across the town,
gotcha, okay.
to now call volume, we're at 67 with 2/3, 1/3, and then we'll be at 100,000 next year, all calls.
Okay.
So we'll be paying a lot more for their service based on the level of calls we have. We're a busy town though.
Yeah,
You guys tell you 80 calls in a month.
we're the second busiest town. PN dispatches 17 towns. We are the second busiest town.
But we got a lot. We got the highway, we got Route 5.
We're busier than Mansfield, we're busier than Summers, we're busier than Ellington, we're busier than Marlboro, Lebanon, all those towns, we're busier. There's more calls generated in this town than there is in.
Yeah.
It's a very busy little town. It really is. The next page is the part-time salary. That went up 1%. If you, it was under, it's all, I had it underfunded last year. They don't want to make, they don't want to do such a big increase in 1 year. But all I do is I figure the amount of hours the guys work and times $20, which is what they get paid, and that's how I come up with the 1,520. So there's no overtime, it's just spread across this.
And they're all part-time employees, no
Yep.
benefits.
No benefits, no sick days, no nothing. In the 27th week, I said that went down to $1,000. It was at 11, went down to 1,000.
And that's because it's only 2 days next year, a Sunday and a Monday.
The incentive plan went up $5,000. That's for the volunteers. We have gotten very busy in the last few years. Right now, we're at 245 calls we're at right now, 3 months in. So we're running, we used to run 60 calls a month. Now we're up to almost 80 calls, so 80 calls a month.
The majority of false work.
About, I would say probably 30-40% of EMS calls. But this past month, we've gone 5 times out of town mutual aid. We went to the trailer park accident up on Union, we went to a couple house fires in South Windsor, we went to Ellington, we've been to Vernon this past month. Well, yeah, well, for that trailer truck accident. We went to Summers for the house fire that where all the kids got killed at. And our calls seem to be getting longer. We had, they had 3 structure fires last week in town. They had 2 hotels. And we had a house fire on Scannick Road. When you get those kind of fires, you're there 5 or 6 hours. And, the part-timers, they're the volunteers, but they're still, according to the state's eyes, you can't, volunteer works. Correct me
You
if I get
can't,
it.
you
There you go.
can't
You'll say it better than I-
volunteer for the same job you get paid for. So instead of getting the incentive program, they get paid by the hour. So if they're getting $20 an hour, they get $20 an hour for a call versus whatever your incentive program gives them, $10 or 15 bucks. So a true volunteer is getting 15 bucks, whether they're there 5 hours or not. The people that we pay as part-time drivers during the day are getting paid, or during the other shifts are getting paid $20 an hour. So somebody there might be getting $100 for a 5-hour call, where somebody else is getting 15.
Right.
So.
That's also like with the, on the part-time, they're only allowed to work 1,000 hours a year.
Because if not, they kick into benefits. They become retirement eligible if they work more than 1,000 hours.
Workman's comp, they went up 3%, $400. We kind of kick it up every year a little bit. And then the last one was a pretty good increase. It's the annuity. That's strictly for the volunteers. Back in 1990, the annuity started, the guys were getting $250 a year. You put 20 years in or 40 years in, you would get 40 years times $250 a year. So you get $100. 2000, they raised it to $5 a call. And now we want to bring it up to $10 a call, or $10, not a call, I shouldn't say a call, $10 a year for credit. So if you put 40 years in, you can't collect your 60, you would get 10 times 40, you get $400 a year. So you take a kid that's 20 years old, you want to keep as long as you can. He puts in 40 years at the way it is right now, he puts 40, gets $200 40 years from now, which ain't gonna be worth, like buy a cup of coffee with it, the way things are going. So we wanted to raise it. This is strictly for the volunteers. There's no part-time staff involved in this or anything. And, fire marshal stayed status quo. And then the, total operating budget for the whole year is, 1,005,505, 3.65 increase.
Which is $10,000 lower.
If you go to the last page, it breaks it out, you know, that's other than 27 payrolls messed up, but it's a $35,000 increase. Did we get any questions? Well, I got the answers.
So as of right now, we've, just on your CIP, which is in your song.
Yep,
It's
200,000.
200,000
Yeah.
towards the bottom.
Yep, so the new truck is arriving, right,
August,
August of this year.
right.
So that is paid for, no, it's, because I know we did the approval, or
It's,
we paid for the,
right, it's 535,000 when it's delivered.
Yeah.
We've been making $95,000 a year payments.
okay,
We already did the lease purchase
Right.
before it ever
We're
got
gonna
here.
be paying, I think it's payment number 2 is coming up in August this year. So the remaining $100,000 will stay in there to replace the next truck down the road.
200 or 100?
Well, once you pay the 95,000.
Oh, okay, so next year, if we budget.
So we got 7 years of paying $95,000.
So the intent is to cover the debt payment
Mhm.
and
Until,
still have 100,000 towards whatever the next truck is.
So you have $700,000 towards.
right, we don't wanna come back, we wanna come back in 5 years from now and say, hey, we gotta put $200,000 back in there. If you leave it in there, it's there. So we figure that's, you know, we can, with that 200,000, we should be all set, take care of our trucks for the next 20 years hopefully.
And then just, I mean, this isn't to the budget, but it's for up here. No, when the old one leaves, it's probably not worth anything, right?
No, well, I got a broker coming down, he's gonna give us a price what it's worth.
Okay.
And, what I think it's worth and what they think it's worth, two different things.
That's what I said, it's probably not worth
You know,
anything.
I think it's worth $125,000, they think it's probably worth $25,000, but that's, you know, I don't, you know, it's what anybody wants, it's whoever decides to pay for it, and that money goes back into that. CIP, which we're probably gonna use to buy equipment for the truck.
Okay.
Cause like we gotta, it needs air packs, our air packs are about 11 years old, an air pack with 2 bottles is $12,000, that truck's got 5 on there.
And it doesn't come with the truck.
New,
The truck comes with nothing.
The truck comes with nothing, does it have a hose?
no,
Nope.
No floor mats, nothing?
Yeah.
the only thing that truck comes with, it comes with a 24-foot ladder, a 16-foot roof, a flathead, a pick head axe, 2 fire extinguishers. And a
The
crowbar,
ability to pump.
and that's it, that's all it comes with.
Hopefully.
And a big- And a big.
Yeah. Well, depends where it's coming from. Again, it would only have a tank.
The hose for that truck is about $27,000 or $28,000. It's just, they're just so expensive, you know, like, if a fireman, when a fireman gets off of a truck to go into, say, a fire alarm at Park Hill, he's around $21,000 with his gear and his pack and his,
Yeah.
you know, getting off the truck.
Unfortunately, in the last few years, it just feels like you're using it a lot more.
Yes, and another thing, bunker gear is only good for 10 years. 10 years, you throw in the garbage can. When OSHA came down 2 years ago, that was the first thing they went to. They went to the gear rack and they checked every date on every gear.
You still have some pressure on it.
Yeah, yep.
You should swap them off.
Yeah, now you have to be fitted. Everybody has to be fitted for their own gear. And with this new cancer thing that come out now, they recommend that everybody has 2 sets of gear. Because you can't wear, if you go to a fire, car fire, dumpster fire, house fire, other than a vegetation fire. You're not supposed to get back in that truck with your gear on. Your gear has to be put in a bag and put in the back of a pickup truck. You have to ride back and however you got in your bunker gear, whether you're in your skivvies or in whatever. That's how you have to come back to the call. So if you get a call on the way there, that truck is out of commission. These guys get back to the firehouse. That gear cannot be worn until it's all washed. So that's why you need a second. And the gear wash only does 1 set of gear at a time, even though you paid 15 grand for the washer and dryer. And that's law now.
How does it a special washer and dryer for his bunker gear?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's called an extractor. But that's the kind of stuff, that's the stuff we're up against, and now OSHA's sticking their nose in it. They're changing all kinds of stuff, you know, manpower wise, more manpower, more rules and regulations, so it's. Not an easy, they're gonna follow, OSHA is gonna follow the NFPA standards for the whole country, that's in legislation right now. It's under a big investigation, not investigation, it's under a big. Congressional, whatever it is, it's June 6th is the end of the hearings. So after that, they're gonna make the decisions if OSHA's gonna take over the fire service or not, that's volunteer, that's everybody. See, volunteers used to be under federal OSHA, which federal didn't care. But once you get paid employees, you're under con OSHA. Well, con OSHA wants the whole, along with federal OSHA, they want every state, Connecticut wants its state, and federal wants all of us. So,
Do we have a good number of volunteers still?
actually, we do, if you see the signs all over
Yeah.
town, we've probably gained 6 in the last 7 or 8 weeks.
That's awesome.
Hopefully we keep them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all under 40 years old. They have to go to school and everything else. That's where you usually start losing, when they have to spend the 6 months in fire school. Because once again, for the NFPA, you can't go to fire ground unless you're firefighter 1.
And so there, we cover the train. the
Yep,
train-
we cover all that, yeah,
Yeah, the problem is you're that many weeks away from your family,
right.
you know, and if it's, 2 nights a week and every other weekend,
Yep.
and every other weekend means 8-hour plus days,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
For 6 months.
So,
This- The next class starts in August, it gets done in December.
Yeah.
4 months, 5 months, 2 nights a week and Saturdays.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long
Oh,
commitment.
a week, 2 nights a week.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
Yeah, and if you have a young family,
Class
you
part during the
plus you're
week,
working and then
you do
you got
practicals
kids, you
on the
got
weekend.
sports, you gotta hustle them back and forth too, and it's gonna be a real tough to sustain volunteers.
So it's coming.
You know, and all the departments run at the same time. So it's a problem with the whole country, but those signs work pretty good. Because if we can keep them, and we actually got a couple young kids out of high school, so that's what you really want, is the young kids. So you can keep them, mold them, and
Any further questions?
I did come up with a mill rate, but I can't remember what it was, and I don't have my book, it's in the office. But it's going down, 1 point, you remember what I told you? The new mill rate would be,
1.6. Actually, one
right now,
point
two point
five.
five something.
Yeah,
Okay, so they get the,
going down.
that's because they're the assessor.
Because the assessment went up, yeah.
So they're.
But we haven't gotten Board of Assessment Appeals yet, I don't think,
Hmm.
which is what we'll use as our actual number when we get to that part in budget.
Any more questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you both.
You know, if any of you want to stop down the firehouse during the day, when the guys are working, stop in, I'll take you around, show you the whole place and everything, you know?
That'd be nice.
So, and you guys feel free to stop down, stop on. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, could you send in Paul Anderson?
All energy.
How much does a volunteer make?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The
The
volunteer,
volunteers get nothing. If they go to a 5-hour call, they get the $15 incentive quarterly for the whole fire.
Oh, volunteer.
They get paid it quarterly. The intent is really to bring them their gas.
Yeah.
Or their coffee for going there.
Look at this crowd. Wow.
So our paid guys get paid $20 an hour and they do like an 8 or 9 hour shift
Yeah.
during the day or some of the nights. You know, he's got quite a bit of staffing now. I think he has staffing on all 7 days now.
just 2 people, 2 or 3, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a ton.
And you need
And
a lot
it
of
all
them.
has to be part-time.
Yeah, 'cause you-
So that we don't have to pay benefits.
So they done it, right.
You need a lot of them to make it work.
So the fire department left, is there any money left?
You pay that bill separately.
Wow.
All
I
right.
love you. I really love you.
Well, hello. Mr.
Sorry if I-
Anderson.
Robert Library is at the bottom there, parking rack, the next to the last page.
Oh, my goodness. Parking rack?
Yeah, it's in the middle of social services, senior services, parking rack.
Library.
It's libraries, and we'll have the other one also.
Got it.
So Paul didn't ask for it, but Jay gave him a raise.
Yeah. 2%.
Hey, that'll be the first time you've had a raise in 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
was they call
Yeah,
usually out.
I usually were trying to cut you.
Yeah.
I try to cooperate when I see the letter saying, we don't want the increases, okay, then. Immediately, I said, you won't get any, there you go. So, I have no complaints. How about you guys, you got any complaints? You got all the information, I assume.
Yeah, it should be in the community service tab.
Okay. If there's anything you wanna know, we'll tell you, because
Well, it looks like you're.
we're pretty popular.
I was gonna say, with everyone I go by, it looks like you're, have more activity there than I've seen in the past, so.
Well, the ramp made a big difference, which was a Boy Scout Eagle project. And then we put the roof over it, because what good is a ramp if people can't walk on it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, that was an Eagle project, and, we put in a new floor, that was a grant, but all these things matter, we're trying to keep things going. Well, we got a ways to go. The building needs paint, but we can't paint it till we can scrape it and repoint brick. It's an ongoing process, it's not gonna happen instantly, but it's gonna get done at some point. We have to put an oil tank outside, because the one in the partly dirt basement was rotting. Things like that, you do what you gotta do, those expenses come up. When they come up, you can't fight that, you just have to do them, but, whatever. And we have the most current selection of novels that people wish to read. Because we buy books multiple times a week. We also, let me see, I have a little bit of information, which is useful. Which I think I should have it here, yeah. So, sorry, I gotta switch the glasses. Cataract surgery is wonderful, but you only get one set of lenses. Yeah. That's it. So. Oh, didn't someone, I thought I did. Well, there you go, showed you what I know. All right, well, whatever the case, we put a lot of money into large print books. Because we have a lot of people that have trouble seeing. And we, over $1,000 a year, and we do get some money from the Lions Club, usually a couple of $100 a year, to help support that. And we find that to be, we get a whole section just for large print. And it, again, things that people wish to read, and that has been the biggest benefit. And for books in general, we spent close to $4,000 just on new books, not counting any donations we got. And again, we try to stay up with the most current stuff. But we also have an incredible military collection of history books going back to the Revolutionary War, but you get to something like World War II. We got shelves of this stuff, just about everything you can imagine. And now I have, Bob Like has been getting authors to donate new books on military stuff. Some of them are coming on sheets of paper. I have to bind them myself, but I'll take it because we really appreciate our military collection. During February, we have a whole shelf full of Black history. That's important. Everything's important. So you try to focus on these things. And for a one-room library, I think we do a pretty decent job.
Now, youth crafts, how many people do you get to attend?
We haven't done that for a
Okay.
while. We're gonna try to get back on it and hope we kind of push that
Yeah.
to nowhere. Because getting 10 people or more around the table
Yeah,
seemed like a poor idea, so we're gonna try and get that rolling again. That was all done by volunteers. We'll see if we can get the volunteer back that was doing it. She's a lady, so maybe we can.
so the asterisks then are just those, these are optional, right? These are things that you're, like, would.
Real question. Thank you. I want to see the same paper you're looking at. Yeah, those are budget items, not necessarily actually taking place. Some are not, and some are in process, like event passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gearing up to buy some of those again. And we've got a commitment from Jason to promote them. So that'll be a positive. Things like the Trolley Museum and New England Air Museum and things that people can get some tremendous discounts. And that way, families can go to these things at a reasonable cost. Yeah, that's the asterisk stuff, huh? Okay, very good.
Right.
Thank you for the question. I
Thank
like
you.
questions.
Any further questions? Thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming out.
There's gonna be some happy people out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Get rid of me quick. Thank you very much.
Want to send Austin in?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're okay. Appreciate the opportunity. You know,
You guys know Madigan's first name is John. Okay.
Oh, the guy with zero two. I don't know.
God, the two of you in a little seats.
Hello? Oh, I keep gladly lead.
Wishful thinking.
Hi,
These guys are under activities and fees,
yes.
so they're in the section one.
You guys have enough paper or can we give you some more? Brought help.
They might have your pictures.
Do they?
I think so.
Oh, I was actually here.
They're in the activities and fees section, kind of towards the back of section one.
We figured every year we just bring a really
Yeah.
small spreadsheet that's your eyesight, so we
Yeah.
thought we'd mix it up and bring some pictures.
Got it.
Got it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We,
Okay. This one's,
yeah,
all
that's
right,
it.
okay, yeah, we're good. Put on the trees.
Oh, you got the spreadsheet.
No, we're good.
Okay.
And the spreadsheet should be on the front side of it. There we go. They're
Yeah,
testing
so-
of your eyesight.
I try not to make it smaller.
I don't think you could.
Or turn the bulb.
Interesting option, no space.
You good or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so, this year's request is $52,000. I know the conversation we have every single year is usually around like what it costs to do the basic maintenance, which, you know, lawn care this year, we're projecting 48,000. And 12,000 for snow removal. So, you know, our request is less than what it costs to do those basic services and each year we usually have a conversation around pavement repairs and tree work and things of that nature, which are where we end up, you know, cutting out the budget to make it balance when we don't get the full funding. So we thought this year we would give you a little more insight into what that looks like and hence the pictures. And that's why I brought Austin with me. So he could kind of go over that in a little bit more detail so you guys have a better understanding of what we face there.
So myself and another member of the association, we took a ride out to all the cemeteries under our purview. And they're all in relatively good shape, I would say. The only ones that we really had a concern with was a couple of some dead trees that could potentially pose a hazard at Scannick Cemetery in the back. As well as potential at Windsorville Cemetery. And then just for future planning, we'll have to eventually do some asphalt repair or replacement at Windsorville Cemetery as well.
So the photos you see kind of give some examples of what we're talking about with, you know, Scantic and then Windsorville and you'll see like the condition of the pavement there. And you know, I know each year we talk about it, but at some point it needs to be addressed and whether you guys have any creative ways of doing that, you know, we're open to that. Since it is, you know, the town property, so.
Yeah, I guess. So I mean, the more you push that off, the more expensive I'm assuming the repair will be, or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that becomes a question is whether, you know, you do a little section each year and obviously the cost of mobilizing crew to come out and pave a small section is. You know, not cost effective as doing a larger section, but it's not like we're gonna come in here and say, hey, we need another $200,000 to do a road this year. So I think it becomes how do we
Yeah.
tackle that over time and, you know, what avenue we go after to do that. So.
What was submitted to us was less than that.
Yep, it was.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that was our original request.
And Jason also, I think, talked about this in his presentation the other
I
night.
did.
That the $27,000 that he cut, he wants to do at an end of the year transfer for both the tree work and the pavement.
Okay.
So that would make them whole and get them some of their projects done.
So that's something we'll do when May's in the,
Yeah.
I'm good with that. We still get the project done.
we get it done, that takes it. And that doesn't put it in the budget. in the numbers. Okay. Any further questions?
No, that was just my question. Let me answer that. So.
Yeah.
You guys comfortable with that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, makes it a sooner project. than a
Yeah.
later
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've been asking for 3 years.
Yeah, I was like, this definitely is a deja vu conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I started before COVID when, you know, the
Yeah.
reset button happened. on
So we were at
funding, so.
15 in 2021, 20,000 in 21-22, and then we've been at 25,000 since.
Yeah.
So it did go down to not a lot and then worked its way back up. Normally
Yeah,
25.
it took me a few years to get over the 15,000 mark. We got to 17,500 and then, you know, 20 and then we went back to 15. So,
Well, appreciate your commitment.
yeah, thank you.
Any further questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Would you send Aaron in?
Sure.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night, you.
So they're in the same section with the library, so the next to the last page.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because those definitely need to get done.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to put the budget.
Yeah.
You can put the budget in there.
Oh. Here, Lisa, you want?
No, it's okay.
You want to sit on the bench? I'll tell you, it's interesting how some people go here and some are from here.
Which way?
You realize you're in a circle, huh?
Yeah. I have a copy of our budget request for everyone, if you'd like it. Or if you already have it, you don't need me to hand it out.
Everybody should have it.
Well,
Sure, I'll take it.
There should, and there is.
It's easier than looking for it.
and I also have a pretty PowerPoint for you. If you'd like to pass it around.
Sure. No, it's not bad.
I did not stable that one well enough. I think I might have ran out of staples and not realized it. Yes, you got it. I think yours was the one after I refilled the stapler.
Got enough to go around.
I think so. I got it printed out the right number. Oh, thank you. Okay, let me know when you're ready for me. Okay, so I'm here on behalf of the Library Association of Warehouse Point. And we are the primary public library. Oh, my name is Erin Haranzi. And I'm here on behalf of the Library Association of Warehouse Point. We are the primary public library for the town of East Windsor. And our goal is to promote literacy and a love of reading, lifelong learning, and strengthening our community.
We have a collection of almost 38,000 items. And our patrons have access to over 11 million items using state reciprocal borrowing privileges. We also have 3 ebook databases and passes to 10 local museums and really good Wi-Fi inside and outside. Our circulation last year was almost 37,000, which was an increase of almost 10% from the previous year. We also had 242 programs last year, and my goal is to have more this year. We are open 49 hours a week, robust hours available for everyone. Last year, we successfully completed the grant requirements, and we will be doing a $190,000 front entryway revitalization project. Thankfully, none of the funds had to come from the town. And our addition will include an electronic sign, ADA compliant walkway, a beautiful glass lobby, and a new circulation desk. I have a couple charts for you following up on this page, and I just wanted to show the comparative references, which were provided to me by the town hall. We're going to be comparing East Windsor against Canton, Coventry, East Granby, East Windsor, Granby, Portland, Somers, and Windsor lots. And so when you turn to the next page, you'll see 3 data points on each chart. The darkest blue is us, East Windsor. The medium one is the count that I just listed off. And the lightest color one is the entire statewide average. So you can see here that in 2023, our operating income per person in the town was $36.98. And we are now asking for $40.30, which is an increase of 33 cents per person. And a number of other charts here that I don't think I need to go over unless anyone wants me to. But I put them there for your later review. In case you ever have any questions, you can call me or email me at the library. Okay. Next, we have the staff number and wages. Our staff, the part-time staff here at Warehouse Point earn somewhere in the 15th percentile of state library workers, which has gotten better over the last few years, but it's still relatively low. And if you take a peek at the chart down the bottom right, our total money spent on staff is somewhere around a third of the statewide average. Okay. And if I'm going too fast and anybody has any questions, please interrupt me. We have 8 part-time library staff, 1 part-time bookkeeper, and myself, and I'm the only full-time person. And if you want more information on salaries, I can give you better information than what you see on the full chart. All right. So if you turn to the page on return on investment, I have an example of a super user at our library. This child's name is Agastya. And on his behalf, each East Windsor resident contributes $1.96 per person per year towards books. And the average cardholder saves over $300 per year on books by borrowing from the Warehouse Point Library. And Agastya, who is a super user, will borrow probably more than 350 books on his behalf over the course of his education and save $8,000 at the minimum. And we're very proud of being able to provide that to all of the students in our town. The ineffable returns, the ones that we can't really talk about in numbers. Libraries inculcate a lifelong love of reading in children especially. Children who attend the library tend to be stronger readers. They do better on tests. They have better critical thinking skills, and they tend to be stronger writers than children and students who do not go to the library. And finally, underprivileged children who go to the library have better educational and financial outcomes than those who do not. And that information came from the Pew Research Center. If anybody wants the article, I can send that to them. We have, this is just a few of the goals that we have. We would like to replace our 40-year-old HVAC system. We would like to extend our opening hours on Thursdays to 8 p.m. And we would like to replace our driveway and parking lot, which feels like an off-road experience. However, none of the requests that I'm making in our budget even cover any of these things. I'm working on getting some grants to do that. So if you turn to our final page, the Warehouse Point Library's request for this year is an increase of $27,450 from last year. for a total of $337,450 from the town. And this will cover, salary increases to prevent compression because, minimum wage has gone up. And we don't want people that just got hired 2 minutes ago to be earning the same as people who've been working for quite a few years. And of course, we have increased costs for insurance, utilities, and building maintenance. And I'm just trying to cover the things that I know are gonna cost more next year. Everything else has been cut or kept the same as last year, as much as possible. So really, it's just salaries and Eversource that I'm asking for increases.
What portion, maybe for the guy, see.
Huh?
What portion of your operating budget is by town and what portion is by the, is there any other page? Should have been-
Probably in here.
Yeah, okay, I didn't. That's same problem.
Oh, well, so you'll see here, we're asking for 337 this year and our total budget will be 451.
Okay.
So, roughly $80,000 is what we're expected to spend out of our endowment, which is what we budget for every year.
Mhm.
If we budgeted for more, we would start shrinking the endowment, which none of us
Yeah,
want.
no.
And then there's some other small incomes that we get. We have a tenant upstairs and, like,
But I knew there wasn't upstairs.
yes.
Yeah.
Confusingly, the address is 105, but it is directly upstairs from the children's section of the library. But that's still, the rent from that tenant still doesn't even cover one person's salary. It's token money.
I'll give you a history on that. So what happened many years ago is there was a tenant who lived up there for free, who provided all the cleaning of the library in exchange for rent. So that person cleaned the library inside, outside, maintained all the garden grounds and everything, and did that for a very, very long time. When he left, we then had to find somebody else to try to work that same deal out. So someone would go up there and clean and take care of the library inside and outside. And we found at that point, we could not find anybody who was anywhere near as competent or caring about the library's cleanliness. And so we decided at that point that we would rent the library and the income that we used from that would go towards the cost of the interior maintenance of the library.
And it does come out to be pretty much zero.
You know, so that regard. So that's the little bit of the history on that.
Can't live in everything.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Yeah, we sure do.
So by calculation for what you asked, the 327 you asked for,
Mhm.
and what your total budget is, the town would supply 72 and percent, and then 28% is what you, from your endowment or donations.
Yeah,
or,
which is fairly similar to previous years.
so. But what was presented to us was this year number at 316,200. So the
Which is a 2% increase.
2% increase.
Um,
Well, from the Board of Selectmen, what the Board of Selectmen gave to us was 316.
that's news to me.
Which is
I was still flying around thinking that I was
600.
asking for any.
$6,200 more than they got this year.
Yep.
They're currently getting 310.
Mhm.
And before that, it was 299, 285, 275. So about 10,000 each year they're getting. They got 10, they got 14. They got 10.
All of which went to salaries, more or less. Because they've been extremely depressed over the last 10 years.
So I guess you're right, going from the 337 to 316, right? That's currently what we have proposed. What would be? Obviously, where would we lose?
I don't even know because I didn't know that I was gonna have to give you that answer today.
Yeah, you don't have to give it today. We still have some time.
I would just, off the top of my head, the only place that it can come from is the salaries. I just wouldn't be able to do what we've been doing the last couple of years, which is making up for the shortfall in salaries that were happening so many years. Our most highly paid person on staff is paid $21 an hour. And, the lowest paid person on staff is receiving minimum wage. Aside from me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to play this stuff. Just-
Oh,
No, it's not.
I would have prepared an answer if I knew that that was what the selectman's office had recommended.
No, thank you, Bill, for bringing it up. Yeah, I mean, we do still have some more sessions too, so if you wanted to put more thought into it and come back or let us know.
Mhm.
That would be helpful before we make a decision.
I would have to meet with my board of trustees first,
Thank you.
but, I can either come again or I can send you the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we just, I mean, there's certain dates that you have available, or are they filled, is every budget session filled, or are there dates that you have that we can?
Well, the 8th for sure, which is next Monday,
Is what?
is the next one.
Oh,
The-
okay, and they do have availability for,
Yep,
okay, the 8th, okay.
and then if we need it, the 15th, but we'll be all done by the 16th.
That's good to know, thank you, yeah, we were not, you know. Erin is new and it was new, we presented this and we didn't hear anything back,
Okay.
so we
Yeah.
apologize for.
I will say I did hear some rumors, so I probably should have preemptively prepared, but,
No, it's, I mean, it'd be as I, the question, I mean, and it's, that's what's here presented to us, and as a board, we don't have to go by what the selectmen tell us.
oh, okay.
We're an independent board, and, you know, we have the final say to set the budget, the selectmen present to us, and then like I said, this group right here, you presented to just now, is the one that puts the budget to the voter, and the voter decides, so.
Well, I will tell you,
Mm.
if it's 316, I honestly don't know how we can cut anymore. Like, this was the smallest budget that
Mhm.
this is the smallest budget that we could come up with.
Mhm.
So just.
Yeah, well,
Take
No,
that.
thank you.
that's why we bring you in to talk to us.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, the selectmen cut other towns and, you know, portions and whatever, and, like I said, but this group right here does have the final say for the budget. It's, you know, for us to just consider and talk about, we go through each department, because you, and discuss each budget before we make a motion for the final number, so. It will be discussed.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Alright. Please enjoy my presentation. I know you've read it at least 2 more times.
Sure.
No, thank you, did a great job for this is your first one, okay.
Well, there was the Board of Selectmen.
Well, but yeah, first year.
This is, yes, 2 weeks from now will be my 1-year anniversary.
Well, welcome officially.
Thanks. Would you like me to leave a stack of these or take them back and keep them for scrap?
Yeah.
Oh, this one's on topic, but why do I have to have everything perfect in the, go, there we go.
Oh, not until after the budget package.
Okay.
We got a while.
All I did was my.
I haven't looked
ugly
yet.
copy paste.
Sorry, I haven't looked yet.
Oh,
I'll get to it.
if it's not important enough for you to look at it yet, then I can wait as long as it needs.
We do, thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Sometime in the next month, how's that?
All right.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
I don't think we have any people outdoors, do we? I don't think the regular.
Well, they, they're probably, they're working.
Yeah, C10. Well, I can share with you what we did. I was a huge part of the work that happened
Can I
relating to
just
that.
ask a quick question? Should I recuse myself from the conversation entirely? Or is it-
No.
No, I can ask questions? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
Okay. Can I
She
moderate?
works for the elections. But I'm just gonna explain the process we went through. You start, those 4 down there.
Well, I mean, you can discuss, but if you don't feel comfortable voting, we can have Christine make your.
Yeah, I probably won't vote just, but if it, yeah, like, I just wanted to be sure. It's really okay with me. That's a question.
Don't neglect for some.
Yeah, I have a copy myself right here, so,
No, everybody should have them.
yeah, I
It's not
got,
for
I got the
everybody.
one you and I.
Oh,
talked
sorry.
about. Unless you change it from what I met you in your office.
No, but it might be a different order,
It
but.
seems thicker for some reason.
So there's 2 different sections. So the first thing I did was went over the last 4 years, 5 years. And looked at every November election, every primary, every referendum, every budget. To see what we were paying, how much, how many people, because the whole question was, what are we doing for early voting? So I put together the analysis. The last 4 pages are different things, and each one says what they are, like November election shows that it's 1920, 2021, 21, 22, 23, 24. Those are all, the years that I looked at. So this was really just guidance. How many people are we using? How often do we have these things? You will see in the budget one, there is no May budget in 2020. It's
Yeah.
because we didn't have one. Because of COVID, there was no referendum. It was set by you guys. After many public hearings.
Yeah.
But so that one, there truly wasn't a budget, but the other ones, you can see the number of bodies. Bounce all over the place, the prices have changed significantly. So then I took the November of 23 election. That's the list on the very front page. The yellow is everybody I had to give raises to get above the 1569. These are not hourly employees, they aren't employees. They are stipend people who come in for the day if they feel like it or not. So we pay them X dollars for doing it. So on a 16-hour election like today, they get this 24, 25 column, the $500, the 500, the 450, the 325s, the 252s, and 325s in the middle are same day registration people. Because the feeling was that those people deserve more than the ballot clerks or the tablet tenders based on what they have to do. They have to be able to get into the election system. That's tied to the state of Connecticut. So they felt that person would need more training, so that person would be paid more. So that was
Who was that, Rogerson?
the same day registration. They used to
Oh,
be
okay,
called
gotcha.
election day
Yeah,
registration.
okay.
Well, now they're same day registration. Except you can't same day on early voting. You have to go one day and register and the next day and go back and vote. So some of the rules are pretty silly. So I came up, okay, what would it cost full-blown election? Now I said, okay, now early voting, we have either 8-hour days or 12-hour days. No 16-hour days. So the elections are still 16, but everything else is either 12 or 8. Well, we met with the registrars, we went in front of the Board of Selectmen, we went through this whole package during our Board of Selectmen presentation. We went with the registrars separately, we went over all this, and they were okay with everything. And then we got a letter that said, well, I don't care how many hours my day is, I want $500 for me and for Angelo. And I don't care about the part-time, the other people, they can get the lesser amounts. In a public meeting. So, but I did it literally straight math, $500, 16 hours gets me $31 an hour. So if I'm gonna do a 9-hour day, we gave them a half an hour on each end of the days. So instead of 8, it's 9, instead of 12, it's 13. And said, what would we have to pay them as their stipend for the day? That's the column that says 9-hour day, says 281.25 going down to 141.75. So that's what the people would get for every day that they come and work for early voting.
So that's my question. So how many people did we allot for early voting and do we really need that many?
So if you wait 30 seconds, I'll get to that page next.
Okay, sorry.
So this got me what we're gonna pay people for a 9-hour day, what we're gonna pay people for a 13-hour day, no matter what. Whether it's November, whether it's August primary, whether it's this special election that will be coming up shortly for the one fire commissioner for Broadbrook that needs to be done. Page 2. We met with them. Originally, she had up to 25 people working the 14 days of the November election. Her price was $101,000. We only hired 26 people to work a full election day, both sides of town. So I said, well, how can you possibly need 25? You can only be in one location by state law. The state says if you're less than 20,000 population, you can only have one polling place for early voting. They decided to annex. But they still wanted as many workers, one short of than what they had at 2 different polling places the rest of the time. So I redid the math. They said 5 in the Board of Selectmen presentation. We talked about it and we decided 7. Giving them the 2 registrars of voters, a head moderator, 2 checker/ballot clerks, and 2 tabulator tenders. So that each party has somebody standing at a box. Like especially today in the primary, it would be Republicans versus Democrats because you're voting on 2 different ballots. So That was what we came up with for what early voting would need. So the cost of every day of a 9-hour voting day will cost us $1,500. And every 13-hour day will be $2,156. So if you do 7 9-hour days for the August primary, 2 13-hour days for the November election, 12 9-hour days, a total of 14 days for the November election, and 4 9-hour days for the April special election, your total is $38,648.88 for early voting. If you add it to the bottom of the first page, which is $8,224 for the August primary, $7,224 for the November election, because the registrars don't get paid for the November election. And then the referendum, $8,224, that's total of 23. Together, that gets us the $63,000 that's in the budget currently. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
So that's where we are with registrars. I think the $63,000, we're going from 36 to 63. They're in the very kind of beginning. They're under general government. Somewhere around town clerk. I have mine backwards. I think they're the third page.
So what? That's probably included on another line of those little bits, it's a while ago. It's part-time salary increase for $870 in what's.
So that's their person who comes in and works currently to help them file, pick up on things. So they're paying it right now, but they were paying it under the election workers, and they were just hiring somebody without going through the hiring process. So this year we made them go through the hiring process. So right now it's currently being charged to election workers, but that's the estimate of the hours that that person will work. That's already working, but
So
it
it's already.
hadn't been spelled out.
It's been there, it just was
Yep.
not separated out. Whether it should-
And that person is truly an employee, just like the 2 registrars are. So that's what was our problem was, she was being paid as if she was a stipend employee, but she really wasn't. She was coming in and working X number of hours to do X number of job that we tell her. So she really needed to be an employee. So she is now an employee.
Wait, that's this full-time salary, that's one position?
No, $870.
What is this stuff?
Where are you?
It's on 2 pages.
No, the very top line of this page, registers of voters. Is $870 for the part-time employee. And then the second job is the registers of voters, the 33 is the 2 of them stipend that they get paid for working approximately 4 hours a week. All year long. That's the $33,594. And then the 63 is both the election workers and the early voting, with 38,000 being the early voting. And 23,000 being the election workers for the actual voting days.
And then other expenses are pretty much their long.
Yep, the only other thing they did is meals. They still want to pay people to come. The question was, if I come in for a 9-hour day, nobody buys my lunch. You know, I get it for the 16-hour day, coming in at the crack of dawn and not leaving until long after everybody else is gone. But they want meals for, some version of meals for those days also. And I think that's it. The media cards, I think it's just a cost.
Yeah.
And there's, I know you say, right, they did it's like 4 hours a day. We don't have it, there's not like an outline description that they have to do so many hours a week. It's just kind of what they
work whatever they feel like. We have weeks that they didn't work at all. We did an analysis of several years, and we have 2-week periods that don't have any time cards at all for them. Good example would be now. They just worked this primary. They will probably not work the next 2 weeks, and then they'll work the budget vote in May. But they all work at their own discretion. They work 0 or they work 10. We have no say over it at all. And when we looked, they're getting paid pretty well. I think last year we did an analysis of other towns and the hours they're working. I mean, if they work 4 hours a week, it works out to like $81 an hour for this $17,000 that they're each getting.
Oh, is there a minimum amount of hours they have to work?
No,
Not so that, and so that-
Nothing.
nope. And then this additional early voting would get them more money on top of that because they're getting paid for every one of those days also.
So, and then we said we've hired someone to do work.
The filing, and they say that they need office help. So, and she's already working. She was already working before we actually hired her.
No, your analysis makes perfect sense. to me.
I tried to do it as honest and fair and reasonable. Thinking that we weren't paying $101,000 for 25 days of voting. Which is what the request was. Originally, it was more than, I think it was 150,000 originally.
Right, because they're brand new, we don't know, I would. Obviously, I don't think. Do we have any data at this point as to how many people they've had per day to?
Well, so they paid, I don't know per day, so it's hard to tell because they just gave me the number of hours and the people. So I have like 4 people who worked all 4 days. Or 5 people that worked all 4 days, but then I have people who worked 3 days, 2 days and 1 days on the early voting stuff I got in my office.
Yeah, but even I'm just thinking too, like that may be something, obviously, this year it's still new, but next year, once we have some information, like how many people actually come for early?
So we had 55 people all 4 days, 6 on Saturday. So it cost us a couple $1,000 to have 6 people come vote.
And I know that that's not, we didn't decide to do early voting, but that's just insane to me.
Yep. The thought is that they'll use the whole $10,000 grant that they got just for this voting that we just did.
And I think some people came to vote just to do it. Like, wasn't like they had.
They had a total of
Yeah.
55 people
Yeah.
in all 4 days. So. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But this is more reasonable than the number that originally came in.
And then going forward, I don't believe, like after this initial $10,000 going forward.
There's no money,
there's no-
all on us. This budget is 100% on us. That I did, and this only starts with the summer. The August primary is the first pot of early voting money that's in this budget.
It's a good thing we don't have a big time. Oh, it does.
Because we have to have more
If you
polling
got
places.
more polling places,
no,
and
no,
more
I-
people, then it just adds up more and more dollars.
Yeah, what I was just saying is that you're already locked into that number of
Yeah.
people, no matter what. You can't slim that number, you can't slim the people down.
You could.
Well, you could. So she originally was very weird. She had 3 people. I think 3 people is by law, what you have to have. You need a head moderator and 2 other people.
Yeah.
I think is what the state statute says if you read the hundreds of pages. So by law, it has to be 3 people.
So then,
Yeah.
so this number should come down.
Well, I think we're being very generous in budgeting this way, because for 55 people over 4 days, you don't need 7 people.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, like. are
So when
these-
I suggested, so they wanted 25 for November,
Yeah,
right? But only 4 or 5 for August. I said, well, fine, if you only need 4 or 5, use only 4 or 5. And if you feel like you need more in November, maybe you go in and if you're really slammed,
yeah,
then use, that is a pot of money. It's not those 7 people. And they don't always fill. If you looked at the analysis of the actual voting, there are spots that never got filled. There's times that, so there's 26 positions on here. Here is a referendum. There's clearly not 26 people that were paid here.
right, so what I was saying.
And
is
this is
that-
the actual vote that they said they had to have 26 people at. I mean, this one, they had a dozen, maybe?
Yeah.
Across 2 polling places.
So the 63 could potentially go down.
Yeah.
By the
Could
end of
be.
the year.
I think it's
Yeah.
something we need to look at. I mean, we have to do something because it's unknown.
The
Right.
legislation is also working on no excuse absentee ballots, or so they're saying. So that would take away early voting. If anybody can vote absentee, we should not have to do early voting. It's a lot of money. I mean, $10,000 for 4 days in April.
Right.
For 55 people, I mean, that's a lot of money. So this is my guess, my best guess.
Yeah.
Based on the analysis, I did over 5 years. I don't know. I did my best. Not everybody's happy with me. I've heard, I'm not well liked by some people right now,
That's
but
okay.
my job is to do the best thing rationally
And I
with
think
numbers as
like
I
said,
can.
And Amy and I sat down, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, I sat down in their office and we went over it. To me, makes perfect sense. And like I said, there's flexibility. They can push a lot of it till November with the presidential election, which I believe will be huge, and I understand. But then again, next year, we can run these numbers again and budget a probably more accurate number for 25, 26. I don't think that far ahead, but that's what the number's gonna be. So, but I think it's a good starting point, and I think Amy, did a great job of pulling the numbers and doing an analysis and getting it to where I think it's fair. So.
So that's where we are for the register's budget.
Any further questions?
I said that of Amy.
Patrick's got a question.
Patrick has a comment.
If it's okay, I know the, Board of Ed, we're on the agenda for the 8th, I guess, just, to ask this group, I know you have our budget, both books in Munis along with the budget booklet. Is there any additional information you want us to bring forward at that time? Is there any additional information you want to present? Otherwise, I believe it was our intent to just go in as a Q&A and answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I think, each of us will spend time, I mean, I've looked at it some a little bit. Started jotting some notes and some things down, so I think that's basically the way I look at it. I mean, you've presented to us, you've given us your numbers. And I'll go through and come up with questions or whatever I may have. Obviously, you well aware it's the largest portion of our, we put forward to the voter. And I mean, but I don't think, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know if anyone else wants him to bring any other information.
What about enrollment? Isn't that one thing we always ask for?
Yes,
Yeah, I think they take it was 1,000, what's your total year?
It's just under 1,100.
Just under, I thought it was like 1079 or something, the number I heard out there.
It's, it fluctuates, I want to say it's around, 1,060 right now, might be slightly higher, but it's usually anywhere between 1,050 and just under 1,100.
Okay.
Right now.
Is that 1,100 number closer to the kids that aren't going to the school system? Is that how you getting up that high?
All those schools, all those students are in our district, pre-K to, through grade 12. I believe it includes our transition program, which is our 18 to 21 year old program. There's only a handful of kids in that program. It doesn't include our kids in magnet schools, if that's what you're asking.
Yes.
So I believe, because I had to get that information for the demographic enrollment study, I believe it's over 100 kids in magnet schools. I want to say it's somewhere between 100 and 125. The exact number, I'm not sure, but it's between that range.
I guess there's a question I'll throw out there, and this is one that's just been in the back of my mind for a while. Is that, I mean, you have a level called 1,100 in the system, and we have what I call the education portion of the running of the school, the actual educating of the students. Then we have what I call overhead costs, the fixed costs, electricity, buses, your office, tech office, all the IT stuff. So obviously, when people say it's costing you whatever the number is to educate a child in this town,
Yes.
the fixed costs are huge for this town compared to other towns because of the number of kids we have in our seats.
Correct.
Obviously, the more classes you can offer, the more activities, the more whatever it is, advanced gifted programs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, they cost more money, but they could potentially put more kids in the seats. Do you have and I know you again, this is only your second year as the superintendent. Are you looking out as to how is it part of what you're doing is how to figure out how to put more kids in the seats? I know you've made some changes too with what you're bringing in from Hartford or whatever, and you've said you've kind of stopped bringing them in for, starting them hopefully in the elementary school, which is probably costing you seats on the other end right now.
It did, yeah, but
But
I mean, we
long
have,
term, I guess that's my question is, are you doing some more things like that or some, and I don't need that answer today, but that's what question I may have, I guess I'm throwing you a question I was gonna ask you next week.
so I mean, the answer in short, we have put, we actually used ESSER funds for essentially like recruitment and retention
Mhm.
of students. So the recruitment was on the magnet school side. The retention obviously is keeping our own students from eventually going or considering magnet schools. I mean, I would challenge that, like the education you're going to get in our schools exceeds a magnet school in general. Now, certainly if you have a student that has like a high interest, and I'll use like theater and we should certainly will offer theater as options, but if you're looking to do it like 3 hours of your day, then there are those unique opportunities. But what we find is families, look at the magnet schools as, almost like private schools because they're brand new buildings, they're fancy, they look, pretty, but I would challenge with the walls, it's much stronger within our school system. There, than most of them, so certainly we put some time, and I mean, it's too early to say like, the dividends of that work, so what I can tell you is we have less students in magnet schools this year than we did last year, but that could be a number of factors, so to say, like the work we did was successful, like, that could be just more kids moved in or moved out, in all honesty, so like, I don't have enough data probably to answer your question, other than say, like, it is an emphasis and it is a focus of our work.
And I'm not gonna argue, you know, the fact that you do a great job here. I mean, one of my daughters went totally through East Windsor School, was doing phenomenal at UConn. I can't say anything bad. My other daughter was, you know, went to 8th grade, went to Rockwell High School for the ag program.
And we're not going to,
I know that's a program's been out there for
absolutely.
60+ years. You're not, you can't, and I was a part of that program. I went from South Windsor to Rockwell High School to do it when I did it. And when she got to Rockwell High School, and I don't think you were the superintendent, I didn't say this one of our meetings years ago. She says to me that, you know, when stuff that she was doing as a freshman at Rockwell High School was stuff that she did in 7th and 8th grade in East Windsor. So that's a, you know, you guys are doing a great job in that aspect of things. I don't know how you say that, you know, to tell people that, you know, it's hard. But again, you know, my big thing with your whole budget is that overhead part kills you.
Yeah, $24,000 a student.
Yeah, and you know, that's the part that really,
Is that in the budget? I didn't see the per student cost.
Well, all you have to do is take the
student divided
total
out to the number.
budget.
Well, that's what I wondered, but,
You can actually get
online,
the
there's
information.
different
if
factors.
you-
It's online.
If you actually go onto Ed site.
Yeah,
just
that's where I
Google-
was looking.
Yeah, Google Ed site, there's a tab for, this, I believe it's, not quite, 24. I believe it's under that, but it'll give you the number,
Okay,
Um,
I wasn't sure
right.
if that was just that simple because there's another site that uses a different factor. They take out food or
Yeah,
grants.
complexity is the grants and other things, but they'll actually give you like the formula they use for other school districts too, so you can look up other school districts. But we are above the state average. I would say like if everything was even, we probably always would be under the state average being a small school district.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're going to offer competitive high school curriculum, even if we have 400 students, certainly that number would look better, but it would still be above average. Because, like, in order to offer, you have to have course offerings. In order to have so many course offerings, the domino effect is that you might have smaller class sizes. So that's, I mean.
but there's nothing wrong with smaller class size.
Oh, no, it's, you benefit from
You
it.
benefit from it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just, it's funny, our student rep, Vincent, there was a conversation at the board level, regarding, one of our AP classes, and, I believe it's, you know, just to be completely, transparent, just, 3 or 4 students, that's not, typical for most classes. We say small, but they're not, that's an anomaly, but he spoke up and he said, I gotta say, like, I'm in that class and it's my favorite, like class, and you know, you run into it, do you offer, and that, we do get strategic, we don't offer every class every semester. So it may be like a class that's offered once every other year, so like it may be 9th and 10th graders have the opportunity, or depending if it's a higher level class, it could be 11th and 12th, so you can rotate course offering, so it's not continuous, because there's no way you can offer all of them, so we have been strategic in that manner. Too, but it is a challenge. I mean, it's one of the benefits to being a small school district, but it's also one of the challenges as far as funding.
Anything else for Patrick?
Maybe just transportation costs, let's just. Have the buses, have we gone out they need the buses?
We have, we're in negotiations with, Smith, so, I mean, it is budgeted as a 10% increase. Those were the initial numbers we're, given. I will tell you, we are below, since reported, I don't know.
Oh, yes, it's recorded.
I will say we are well below average, 10% would still put us below average. We're hoping that's going to come in lower, but I was hoping that we would have something in place before coming to our workshop But at this point, I don't anticipate having that number.
Yeah, and I don't know if we could just to be prepared, just to health insurance again, I know that some of it had to do with, where we had employees that were paid through the grant and now they're not, but I think that if we could go through like actuals, what's estimated versus what's actual.
Yeah, we have the actual numbers. I'll tell you, our increases have less to do with the grant, than it does, have to do with. Essentially, when you budget it, you're there for the budget, you're going in January of the previous year initially, I mean, even at this time, even April. But, like, people's status, changed, so we have the status of 30 employees change who, that took a higher level of benefits. Now, some of that may have been staff that left, let's say they did not take benefits because they needed versus staff that came in and took a higher level of benefits. It could have been existing staff that was on a single and now they're taking, the double plan because they've gotten married. It may have been someone on a double plan that now is taking the family plan, but we had a change over 30 staff member that led to a significant increase. The 2% actually saved us to minimize that increase, but we were already entered this year, essentially 315,000 in the hole based on what we were budgeted in 24. So from our revised number, it's minimal. It's like tens of thousands of dollars increase, but we saw the increase that actually happened essentially during the summer, during the school year. But certainly we'll have the actual numbers. I don't envy your job. I understand we have the largest and, if, so I completely understand you go through it thoroughly as you should. Again, I know you have a challenging job and I value, the work that you do, and I'll look forward to a productive meeting on Monday.
Alright, just people kind of said, looking at the the budget workshop, again, for Monday. It is, first off, would be the Board of Ed, and then it's just that CIP, and then basically discussion on the budget. So, I mean, if we have an opportunity in the next week, take a few minutes, jot down notes, I mean, we can just stay here all night, or we can do it quick, it's up to you guys, that don't matter to me, I mean, it's important, it's probably the most important of our budget workshops, so we put the whole thing together, and technically, we can sit on it for another week before our March, May, April. Whatever month we're in, April 15th meeting, and, make the final decision then if we're not comfortable, but, in reality, because Amy's got to get the budget mailer together and all that stuff, it would be best if we could come up with something, but, I mean, so that's kind of what my plan would be. I don't, I have a couple things in the town budget that, I want to discuss, which I think is only 2, maybe 3 items, but overall, I think the town budget I was presenting is pretty straightforward and pretty minimal. And then obviously after we discuss the Board of Ed and then whatnot, so. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments you want to make as a group. The things you're thinking that you may want to just throw on the table now to let others think about it a little bit. Feel free to say no.
Like, how do we avoid somebody not knowing that their budget might have been cut a little?
She should have known that. It was presented, it was filed with the town clerk,
Yeah.
it was in all the meetings.
I mean,
And Jay presented 5 times to the Board of Selectmen. So there's no reason why she shouldn't have known that her budget was cut.
Yeah.
Just knew, not knowing
Yeah.
that she should be going. I mean, we don't call people and say, oh, by the way, I cut $10,000 out of your budget.
Yeah, that may be something, just knowing if you have a new person, just to let them know to follow through on the meetings, I think that was a good takeaway.
But their salary, the reason we cut it was their salary was 9-point-something%
Yeah.
increases. And they had 9 last year and 9 the year before. So their salaries have gone up 27% if we give them the whole 337. So big numbers. On a budget that is likely to go to 2% with rebound.
Any other questions? Good. Good right now.
What's the,
You can pass the circle.
what's the number rate, you think, what the rebound gonna be? 24, I think you had it.
Yeah, it's 24, it's on the front of your sheet. It's 24 currently, as the budget sit right now, it is 24.91, which is a 9.37% increase. Or decrease. which is 27.34%. But the problem is. Somebody has a home that's worth $500,000 and was paying taxes on $500,000 is actually gonna get a decrease. Somebody who has a home that was 200,000 and only valued at 100,000 is gonna get a large increase. So unfortunately, that's the downside of reval. The people who are already paying what their houses were worth will see decreases. The people who are not paying what their house was really worth will see large increases.
And I sat down and we went over some of the commercial properties. I'm glad we did wait an extra year. I mean, where I work, Nutrient, we're actually gonna pay more on the second reval than we would have if we stuck with last year. So commercial actually did come up in this round, so it was a good thing. I don't think it made a huge difference as far as residential.
It did not, unfortunately.
But it did make a difference for commercial properties, which is probably good. I mean, even was it Mansions at Canyon Ridge?
Yeah.
They picked, was it 1.2 million more of an increase in the second reval, so. So that's good in a way that the.
Which will still be a tax decrease for them.
Decrease for them, but still, but it wouldn't be as much as it was if we stuck with the first reval that was done, so. So in a way, actually, somewhat, it does help the residential a little bit because of, some of the burden will be a little bit more on the commercial side, so. It may not be quite as much pushed onto the residents, but it's still gonna be I'm sure a big topic of discussion when it comes through. And unfortunately, most people think it's just the town people that make the decision of how much they pay in taxes, but it's your evaluation and it's the market and it is what it is, but. So we just speak intelligent to listen to that fact if we get any questions or comments or.
Most people I tell to go Zillow their home,
Yeah,
go search Zillow.
Mhm.
You tell me what that says different than your reval, and I haven't gotten anybody that number's been lower on Zillow than what they're paying on their
no,
reval.
it's a bidding war. I mean, my mother sold her house in Vernon because she moved into assisted living community. We listed for 380, we got 418, and that was after being on the market for 3 days.
Yeah,
And,
great.
they just went on a bidding war and my mother was gonna pull the trigger and I said, just go one more day and tell them to bid one more time.
Yeah.
And she picked up an extra $18,000 by waiting one more day.
Really?
That basically paid the entire, that actually 18,000 paid the entire real estate fees. So that was, money, but. Yeah, so the market is absolutely insane right now.
Still,
That was just in, October of last year.
Yep.
Anyway. If that's it, motion to adjourn?
We can motion to adjourn, second, sure.
All in favor?
Yeah.
okay.
Motion carries. Thank you all.
Tom T, will you do first?
Yeah, yes.
1, 2, 3. Make it up, it's okay, it's adjourned.